little. There's nothing else you can call it. So welcome. Tonight is Witchy Book Club. And we are finishing up The Spiral Dance by Starhawk. So we are on chapter 11. So let's see. Yeah, so 2 more weeks, and then we will be starting Nyx, which is by Bren, who usually joins me on the lives. So I will have on my social media, I will post the link to get that book, and you will see it on my Patreon, Eventbrite. Actually, if you go to my link tree, you'll see that I will have the link to the book available. And then after that, we will be doing The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis. So this book is actually going to be split into 2 sections. So it will be 2 weeks in a row. And then we'll be going to The Great Divorce. The Nyx book, it is print to order. So when you order it, it does take a minimum of 5 days for you to get it. So since we are down to the last 2 weeks, I'd suggest definitely getting your book now so that you have it for Witchy Book Club. All right. We'll give it just a minute to see if anybody's joining on panel. I know I sent out invites. Again, we are doing chapter 11 from The Spiral Dance by Starhawk. This is a great book if you're new to witchcraft. If you're not new to witchcraft, it is like a great little reminder, and it does actually, we've had some really great discussions because we kind of talk about the book, but then we do veer away quite a bit from the book because there's a lot to learn about each chapter, like each sentence. So tonight's chapter is on moon rituals. Good evening, welcome. So, that's something that's like super, super exciting. And I think, okay, Remnant, have you read the book yet, Remnant? I just want to make sure if we let anybody up that they've read the book so that they're ready for discussion. So, welcome, Bryn. Hope you're feeling better.
Oh, yes. Let's just say, what's the word I'm looking for? Retribution was served.
Oh, okay, good.
Like a retribution.
Yeah. Good. So, probably a minute before you came up, I did show your book again. That we're actually starting this in 2 weeks. So those that are here, if you want to get the next book, it is in Bren's bio. So you go to his bio, click his link tree, you can go straight there. I will be putting it on all my social media since we have 2 weeks left because I want to make sure people have the book before we discuss it. So yeah, 2 weeks we'll be starting that. Well, actually it'll be the 3rd week because we've got 2 more chapters left, but yeah, we don't want people to not have their book.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to not have their book.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. And last night was a new moon ritual. That's a good idea, Bren. Yes, to inspire everybody because the book is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. So last night was new moon in Virgo. So I hope everybody was able to have a beautiful new moon celebration. Our next new moon, which will be in 4 weeks, is new moon in Virgo. However, it is a solar eclipse. So it will have a lot more intense energy. We have a lot of stuff coming up. In the next. So, all right, we're going to jump in. And so, ironically enough, and this was not planned this way, is moon rituals. And last night, hopefully, many of you actually did have a moon ritual for new moon in Virgo. All right, so in here, Starhawk talks about the different phases of the moon, the waxing, the waning, the full moon, the new moon, the dark moon, and that we can align our intentions with the moon and the natural cycle of the moon for growth and releasing energy. She does talk about waxing moon representing new beginnings and new intention, full moon, the realization, abundance. It also represents letting go of things. And the dark moon is reflection and surrender, and the new moon is bringing what we need to us. So just that's just a little bit of what she kind of talks about. So here's the first question for tonight. What is the significance of performing rituals during different moon phases? So, all right, Bren, you ready?
Oh boy, well, I'm going to be taking this to a whole new level. Well, now,
All good.
oh
That's
boy,
what
we're going to
that's
go off the
nice
deep
thing.
end. Okie dokie, let's see here. Where am I going to start with this? Well, so in the Vedic tradition, which is the one that I follow, the moon transits through a sign every 2.5 days. And in the 2.5 constellations within the zodiac sign that it goes through. And each of these constellations are broken up into 4 little parts called padas. So depending on where the moon is placed, if it's waxing, waning, if it's in a certain pada, which is a certain element, all of that can weave into a specific type of energy that the moon is going to put out. If you want to be extra fancy and add some more sprinkles on top of it, there's another method called the lunar day. And the lunar day has a assigned moon goddess to it. So for an example, the 10th lunar day is ruled by Dashami Nitya, and she is a Chandra goddess who is known as the Eternal One, the Eternal Mother, the one that is above all, the one that is this but also not that, the one that you cannot limit, but just sensitive. So say if we have 10th lunar day in the sign of Leo in the first pada of Maga, which is the very beginning of Leo. So what we can see here, for an example, the energy of having vast connection to the ancestry and wanting to continue their lineage becomes what this individual is striving to do. They're trying to make connections with other people to figure out, oh, well, here's how my ancestors are like. Oh, actually, they have this similarity, but then they also have this similarity. So they can make connections to other ancestors without even realizing it. But at the same time, they can become easily overwhelmed with, say, if they're trying to figure out their family lineage, they can go mad trying to figure it out. And they can get to the point where they think, well, I think everybody's an ancestor. No, wait. But that overload comes into play with that. But so if it's waxing, it would be a shukla, which is where the moon is getting more full, and that's symbolic of the moon becoming more extroverted, more out there. While a Krishna moon is when it's waning, and that begins to go within the self. If it's a Amavasaya moon, that's a no moon, that's where you have the dark void, and that's where you have the preparation to begin something new and give something the final chop, and then get ready to start anew. Then the full moon, well, that is the harvesting of everything from the waxing all the way to the full, and that's known as a Chitara moon. So yeah, that's the Vedic way. Quite in depth.
Yeah. And I know you're just barely brushing the surface, so.
Oh yes, barely.
And
like
you know, yes, we get like even I do moon rituals every month for my students, and it's open to the public too. And I barely touch on the moon rituals because there is a lot in the occult in ways to actually practice and perform your moon rituals. Some people in the occult will practice, well, like Bren shared, the Vedic way, but I do know people who actually do moon rituals for the waning, the waxing, new moon, dark moon, full moon. So there's 5 rituals in a monthly cycle. I only do new moon and full moon. Occasionally I will do dark moon. I don't do dark moon all the time just because it's literally like the day before new moon. It does depend on like my schedule. But rituals that I have open to the public is mainly new moon and full moon. The moon gives us so many beautiful energies just when we're able to just watch the energy, especially around full moon, because full moon moves the water, and our bodies are made up of water. And if you live near any kind of water, whether it's a lake or river or the ocean, or I should say a sea, because some people live by seas, watch what happens during the full moon. Watch leading up to it and after, like watch what the water does, because the moon does influence that. And the moon just plays a very important role in our lives in general. So it is really important for us to be able to have those rituals and work with the moon. And you do start to feel a very unique connection to the moon when you do those rituals. All right, so here's another question. And so this may not, if it doesn't apply, Bren, that's okay. We'll just go on. So Starhawk talks about rituals fostering a sense of community among participants. So she does talk about how it can bind participants together through collective actions. If you've ever, like, some people are in covens. So occasionally covens are usually going to do some type of moon ritual. If you're not in a coven, but you happen to go, like I've done things like Temple Hearth and Hex Fest, like there's usually community rituals done if you happen to go to a conference, an occult conference. It might be around a Sabbat, specific Sabbat, or occasionally it will be actually around when a full moon, new moon, or dark moon is. And so they may do a moon ritual. So how do rituals foster a sense of community among the participants? Bren.
Well, I'm going to throw bamboozle into this one. Well, if you're doing a moon ritual, well, if you're connected to a lunar deity, and if you're going to be getting more connected with them, well, there you go. There's your sense of community. And also, if you're doing specific acknowledgments to, say, for an example, if you're aware of moon's transit, if you have moon, let's say moon is conjunct Saturn in the transit, and it's a full moon, well, there you go. You can give recognition to Selene, Diana, Tisanogi, but then you can also give recognition to Kronos, Saturn, Hell, Shani Dev. I mean, the list goes on. So there you go. There's another alternative way of looking at community. Community with the... Yeah. There you go. See? Bamboozled it.
No, you didn't. That's actually a beautiful way. I was trying to think of all the ways, and sometimes we can't think of all the ways, but yes, especially if we work with a deity and we call upon that deity for any of the rituals. Like Hecate, dark moon, new moon. She's more over the dark moon, but I do know people who do call her for new moon. So yeah, if you call on any of the deities.
Even Nyx too. Funny enough. Because for goodness sakes, Nyx, she has everything sewn in her dress, so there's that.
Yeah. And actually, most of our dark goddesses are around the dark moon or the new moon. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. So something fun and exciting. All right. We're kind of cruising through a little bit tonight. I thought we'd be a little longer, but we're not. It's all good. We just go whatever pace is supposed to go, right? So, so the next question, just so you can think about it before I give a brief summary, what role do sacred symbols play in moon rituals? So Starhawk talks about the sacred symbol in the moon is a conduit of energy and intention, and it helps us focus our body, mind, and, well, she actually says our mind and our hearts, but I look at it, our body, mind, and spirit, to take us to a deeper level. So she talks about seeds in the waxing moon ritual symbolize potential and new beginnings, while a scrying bowl during the dark moon can invite introspection and the unveiling of the hidden truths. So those are just some of the examples that Starhawk gave us. So what role do sacred symbols play in moon rituals?
Well, well, in a way, a good example would be, well, let's take a look at the Vedic tale of how Chandra got cursed to wax and wane. A long while ago, many moons ago, there was Chandra, the Deva of the moon, the most beautiful Deva of them all. The beautiful, vibrant, woozy-woo, nasty Chandra. Watch out for him. So then he notices Rohini, and he falls head over heels for her. Then he asks her, so, where's your father so I can ask him to marry you? Oh, he's over there. He goes over to her father and asks, I want to marry your daughter Rohini. You want to marry my daughter Rohini? Okay, fine. But one condition. Oh, what's it? You have to marry all my other daughters too. You mean all 26 of them? Yep. Otherwise, nope, you're not getting her. Yes, I'll do it. So he weds all of them just to have Rohini. Okay, whoop-de-whoop. So, time goes on. Chandra spends time with each specific wife for about, say, 2.5 days. But until he gets to Rohini and he spends 3 days with her. So she gets a little bit more extra time. After some time passes, here comes Jesha, the eldest one, the one that's like, what are you doing? The one that's strict in order. She sees Chandra spending more time with Rohini and she does not have it. So she goes, Father, Chandra is giving more time to Rohini. He needs to be taught a lesson that every single wife needs to be given fair treatment and nobody is better than the other. Teach him a lesson. He did what? And then he got blacked out. Then Jeshta realized, oh shoot, hey, Dad? Yes, daughter. Is there any way you can take that curse off? I kind of regret telling you that he was making that mistake. Nope, he's stuck like that. Crap. So Chandra had to go to Lord Shiva to get half of the curse removed. And in honor of Chandra's humility to be able to go to Shiva asking for help, because Chandra was a really vain Deva, Lord Shiva made it upon himself to take the crescent moon and then put it on top of his head as a sign of honor. And because of that, now Chandra waxes and wanes. Because of that one little lesson of spending more time with one wife instead of being fair. And to this day, he still does it. Go figure. But that symbol of the crescent moon does show also show an honor of how even in the moment where you believe that there's no light, no chance at all, there can be light, but there's also this understanding that humility has to be put down to that state saying, well, yep, you dang better admitted that I made that mistake. I gave Rohini an extra half a day. And I apologize to all the wives, especially Jeshta. I don't trust you, Chandra. You did it once, you're probably going to do it again. Oh, I wouldn't do such a thing. Oh, look at that. He's off doing it another half day with Chandra. Go figure. But it's that symbolic representation that when having a vow and an honor like that, to be put on one of the main devas, especially the one that is over the destruction and creation, that is a high honor. So the moon does also show that high nobility on top of it as well. And that is the story of Chandra and his big whoopsie.
And it is a very big whoopsie. All right. I think we have a lot of really great symbols. So the question, because I know we have a few people who just joined, the question is, what role do sacred symbols play in moon rituals? One that, and I'm not going to tell the whole story because I didn't even think about pulling it up. The Brothers Grimm. A lot of their stories actually have pagan. Yes, and actually my favorite story is Delmond. which is the moon in German, and I'm probably not saying the German right. I'm so sorry, great grandmother. So, and anybody who's German, yeah, because I probably am not saying it right. But it is a very, it's a near and dear story to me about how the moon became to shine in the sky. I know I went over it in another live that I did. That's probably on Patreon and YouTube. Maybe it's even here. But I'm just going to kind of give a really brief summary. And made it to a village, and this village had a giant moon that they hung in the tree every night so that they could see. Well, these men from the other village were like, we should take that back to our village. So yes, they climbed up and they stole this moon and they hung it in the village. Well, the first gentleman got very, very sick. And so when he passed, he wanted a part of that moon to be buried with him. The second gentleman passed and he wanted a part of the moon to be buried with him. The third one passed. They were going to lose the whole moon. So it was decided that the moon would be shot into the sky so everybody could enjoy the moon. And thus the cycle of the moon was born. So that is a very, very, very brief summary of the story, not the full story. The Brothers Grimm stories are actually very wonderful if you've never read them. And they don't sugarcoat anything. So, but here last night, like I did my moon ritual, but we did the community, and I don't know, like this is my first year here in Wyoming, and they did light up the night, where you got the intention of the whole night was you got a lantern and you were supposed to put like your wish or your dream on it. So it was really neat and awesome that it was on a new moon. So you decorate your lantern, and then we put it on. They call them the ice ponds, and it was extremely beautiful to watch all of these light up, especially during a new moon when it was fairly dark out. All you had was the lights shining on these beautiful lanterns on, and I was like, did they plan this for the new moon? So it was very fun. I have a question. I'm not originally from Chicago. No, I've actually lived in now 4 states. So, but I lived in Chicago for a while. So, but yes, so we have beautiful things that we can do during moon rituals. All right. So the next question, so you can be thinking about it, Bren, and then I'll kind of go into the summary from Starhawk, is how can one ensure their moon rituals remain dynamic and alive? So she talks about how, we need to keep them alive, that practitioners need to allow spontaneity and creativity, and that we can improvise and add different elements into our rituals, so that we can experience and adapt rituals to the present moment and to different times. So she really encourages openness, transformation, and new interpretations. So, Bren, your thoughts, and it's cool. We like to break away here. How can one ensure moon rituals remain dynamic and alive?
Oh, simple. Don't be like keeping it like very, get fancy with it. Like for an example. Oh, moon ritual? Okay, let's see here, Rob. Why don't we grab a stone? Let's grab a Larimar. There's one. Let's add a little bit more. Let's also grab some moonstone. Screw it. We'll grab 2 more. Blue topaz. And just for the good kicker, let's also grab, just to make it balanced, black moonstone. So now you have the 2 moonstones, then you have the blue topaz, and then the Larimar. So now you're probably thinking, okay, well we got 4 rocks here, kind of showing now how the moon flows. Yeah, but now what do we do? What are some herbs that go with the moon? Coconut, blue lotus, gardenia, jasmine flower. Yeah, you get the gist of that. Have that, make an incense blend out of that. Have that be going. And then, heck, even a moon ritual can be just simply soaking your feet in the moonlight water. Just soak it in the feet like that. And heck, if you want to get extra fancy, well, except I wouldn't suggest putting all the stones that I said earlier in the water. I wouldn't suggest that. Instead, do something like clear quartz instead and just have them mimic those 4 stones and then plop that in the water. Then take all those herbs that I mentioned earlier, just plop them in and just have them be soaking in your foot water. And relax, take it in, focus on the moon, and voila.
Yes, that's a beautiful way. You know, I love to do just different things and intentions. I try to base them off of what's going on cosmically. So, like we had new moon in Virgo, so this I did, you know, little twist to it. I did the intention a little different that I normally do. But it's always trying to find something what can make it fun. I know, like in person, I love to dance, so I'll either dance. I love drumming, so drumming I usually always have in a ritual, but it's fun to drum and dance at the same time. So you can find anything you want: chanting, singing, dancing. I mean, honestly, keeping your rituals spontaneous and dynamic may sometimes seem hard, um, but it's not. Like, what is your body telling you to do? Like, is your body telling you to dance? Is it telling you to go get in the water? I know one of my most favorite rituals was actually a new moon ritual when we were at Lake Michigan, and we ended up like just getting in the lake and just playing like like it just spontaneously during ritual we're like in the lake, and we just all no one had suits. We were all soaked. Our cars were soaked, but it's just having that spontaneity. And I love that you brought that up, Brent, because it like, especially, I mean, moon rituals are associated with water. So yeah, if you have like an ocean, a river, a lake nearby, use it. I would love to have you play, especially when we're connected connected to our water and all that. All right, so we'll move on. So in the book Starhawks, that brings up Joseph Campbell's concept of living mythological symbol. And that means it refers to symbols that resonate with deep universal aspects of the human experience that can awaken vital energies and provide guidance. So in this, it's in moon rituals, these symbols stimulate. In this, it's in moon rituals, these symbols stimulate personal bridges that participants connect in their own life energy. Personal bridges that participants connect in their own life energy. In symbols and its effect. So that's like a brief summary. So, and it's okay, Bren, we can totally veer away from this question. So, because it's not like there was like a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the good thing about, let's see, how am I going to word this? The good thing with universal symbology is that you can have one individual look at a specific symbol, and they'll know, like, right off the top of their head, aha, that's regarding the moon, that little woozy wooer. Or they look at another thing, like, okay, that's the sun. But the thing is that usually, most of the time, with the universal symbology, sometimes it is known, sometimes it's not known. But the whole concept of moon, nighttime, quiet, bit lully, quiet, bit lully, more intuitive, like that. Those are like some universal, natural, I guess, associations that would come up with that symbol of the moon. Kind of give that a little bit of an example.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, this chapter is so short too. So yeah, there's a lot of myths out there. There's a lot of symbolism out there, and you know, we're barely touching on it. Starhawk really doesn't touch on it. I mean, she literally, the chapter's like, what, 4 or 5 pages? Let's see. Yeah, it's 4 pages. So it's not even, like, I was, I forgot how short it was, because there are full pagan books written completely and dedicated entirely to the moon and the moon symbolism. So it really is briefly touched on. If you're attracted to the moon, find out about the science behind it, find out about the symbolism behind it. There's a lot in a lot of different religions and spiritual aspects too. And you may find something in Buddhism that you're like, oh, I want to adapt that. So again, it's like, adapt what resonates with you and do what you need to make your rituals perfect for you, because we're all perfect in our own ways. All right, so she briefly touches on how moon rituals can transform us personally, and how we should also create a sacred space, but about the personal growth that we get in our sacred space when we are having these sacred moon rituals. So here's the question: in what ways can rituals help in personal transformation? So Bren, how can they help in personal transformation?
Well, simply put, they can help by, the easiest thing, help you get in a flow state. Because moon is all about the ebb and flow. Tides come in, the tide goes out. You go in, back out, and back in. Kind of get the understanding about, the way the moon is, you go ebb, flow. So learn how to flow. Not like progressive flow, but flow like the river.
I think it's important also to understand that, I've known for years, because I've always worked where I've had to do basically kind of a customer service type job. And so dealing with people all the time, I always noticed, like, there was always 3 days before a full moon and 3 days after a full moon. I used to call it when the crazies come out, and like, people have a really hard time, like, they're not accepting. And I love how you said the ebb and flow, because I think it's like 80% of our body is water. So our body's also moving with the energy of the moon as it's getting ready to be a full moon. And we're also going to have different intentions around new moon, because I also see similarities to people. Now, the way people behave for a full moon and behave during a new moon, they are different, but sometimes it's harder because you see, like, emotionally people deal with that change, because the moon has a lot of influence environmentally on our planet. So I think emotionally people deal with that change, because the moon has a lot of influence environmentally on our planet. So I think that affecting our planet and everything living on the planet, and that our bodies made up, the majority of our body is for you during a full moon and a new moon, during eclipse. And if you figure out what that is, you will grow spiritually and you will transform, because you're going to make it through and be like, oh, okay, it's just a full moon. And it's the same thing when we have planets that go into retrograde too. When we learn to accept that change, because we can't change a planet, we can't change the cycle of the moon. We do have to flow with it, just like Bren said, with the ebb and flow. When we learn to flow with it, we actually are transforming ourselves. And not only that, that moon energy, again, like I briefly talked in the beginning, we can bring things to us and we can remove things away from us. So why not let the moon help take something that you don't want anymore and just get rid of it, and let the moon help bring you something that you need into your life when it's at time. So finding those cycles, understanding them, and then working with the moon as a partner, you will find personal transformation. I don't know if you want to add anything else, Bren. I don't know if for that.
It's always going to go forward, back. So learn how to dance with her, and don't step on her feet, because if you do, well, whoops.
All right. Starhawk also talks about what, well, the improvisation during moon rituals. So, why is improvisation encouraged to perform during moon rituals? And I guess this is really similar to the other question when we were talking about like keeping them diverse. But what kind of improvisation can you do during a moon ritual? And I'll let you answer that one.
Well, when in doubt, just get it wet. Yeah. Because, like, say if you're doing a working on the full moon, exactly. If you're doing a working on the full moon, well, throw some water on whatever kind of working you're doing. But what good is that going to do? Well, earlier we were talking about how the moon controls the tides and it controls the water. You get something wet, now the moon is more attached to it. So if you're trying to connect to the moon, get yourself wet. Now you're more connected to it. I know, simple.
Yes, it is very simple. Yes, but also be careful. I know, like with rivers, like I'm right by a river, and I have been walking in it quite a bit lately. But in the spring, when the snow is melting, the river is going to be fierce. So you do need to be really careful because you can be swept away. So kind of keep that in mind. Same thing, like we don't like the cycles change and the currents change in lakes, especially in the ocean and the seas. So do be careful, but have fun. And you can do both. It's easy to do both when we're playing with the moon. Yeah, I think water is well, I brought up how we just went right into Lake Michigan and had fun. I've done a lot of dancing during full moons, treading the meal. There's so many things, and sometimes it's just like the energy that you're around, like what is inspiring you, just do it. Whenever you're inspired to dance, just dance. If you're inspired to sing, just sing. If you're inspired to jump in a lake, jump in a lake. Just do it. All right. Okay, so she briefly talks about the cone of power, and we did she had a whole chapter on the cone of power. And she talks about how the cone of power raising energy during rituals, how that can help direct intentions. So, here's the question: how can we use the cone of power in our moon rituals? So, Bren will be back in a minute. So I'll.
Let's see her. Well, because since water is the element.
It's that.
Yeah, water is that element that is able to conduct the most energy because it's able to. Well, I think it's actually the only element that whatever you put onto it, it just accepts it. It takes. But at the same time, it takes and it dilutes, so it weakens at the same time. So water elements also, believe it or not, vampiric because of that. Yeah. The water element's a vampire? Yeah, in a way you could say that. But the same thing goes with the moon. The moon is vampiric because the moon only knows how to accept and take. So that water element is essentially, let's see here, it's that one element that is able to become adaptable and take shape. So when using that as part of that cone of power, if we're going to make that like the core focus of it, really it's having the understanding that water has that memory. And there have been scientific tests showing that. For an example, if you take tears from somebody who had depression, tears from an onion, just tears of laughter, you'll notice how each tear structure is completely vast and different. So that can kind of give an idea of like how very important that how you're using the water element in that cone of power can either make or break the whole thing. So tread very carefully. Yes. That's why you have to keep yourself in check to know that, oh, I'm not emotionally having it right now. So in that case, probably should take a moment, take a step back, and probably figure out another way of incorporating water so that way we don't have a big oopsie doops happen.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up because, sometimes like I'll gather rainwater. And if you're, let's say, Texas has gotten a lot of rain, Milwaukee just flooded, then the earth in the area could handle. So keep that in mind. Water can be destructive, but it can also be life-saving, right? So just like Bren was saying, if you incorporate tears of depression into a ritual, that's not gonna, don't expect to win $1 million with depression tears, because that's not going to happen. So always think outside of the box and think about, like, what was this water? How can I use this water? Because we will have some things, like, our oceans are saltwater. There are lakes that have salt water. So can you use that salt water, or will that salt water not be useful? It's the same thing when we're using different types of elements. She does talk about having food and drink rituals to share with the community for bonding and nourishment. And that's kind of a lot like when you are having rituals, a lot of times we will have libations at rituals. So it's not a mandatory. There are, in the book, she does give some examples of, let's see. I know, it's like such a small chapter. I keep going to the chapter before it. So she does give an example of a waxing moon ritual, a full moon ritual, a dark moon ritual. She does not give a waning moon ritual, which, she really doesn't even touch about waning. And the waning is also just as important. So that would be like my only critic here. And I'm trying to remember, Bren, who does the moonology cards? It's like Yasmin. She's got a book out and she goes into more detail. You know who I'm talking about.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Crap.
Yeah, she's on Hay House. I'm going to just grab the laptop real quick because I want to make sure, because she's got a really great book on moon. So like if you want to expand on it, again, this chapter was 4 pages long. So it's like really, really baby.
4 pages. Oh, okay. That's tiny.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, it's Yasmin Boland. She's published through Hay House. So she has the Moonology Oracle deck and the book. And so the book is Moonology. But the Oracle deck is absolutely amazing. I should have kept mine out instead of in a box. But if you want to learn more, her Oracle deck or the book will really, really help you grow. This chapter was very barely touches the surface. Again, she does not even talk about the waning moon. So Bren, anything you want to add about the waning moon? Because the waning moon is just as important.
Yes, because the waning moon, that is the phase of the moon where you look at to see. Essentially what you have is what's now external with the moon being full. Now it's starting to become more internal. So in that regard, say for an example, if you're, let's see, how am I going to put this? Say if you're trying to now, like you've already gained what you wanted from the full moon, and now you're trying to bring it back and take it in with yourself. So the waning moon is now also what you can see for incorporating all that you have learned up until the point of the full moon, and now you're incorporating and bringing it into yourself with the waning moon. Of course, the waning moon can also be the time in the moon phase where you tell things to piss it and stay all the way over there and never come back again. There's also that realm. But then that's also when you have the waning moon, like I said earlier, that is a Krishna moon. And a Krishna moon, depending on, of course, the sign and the house and the whatnot, it's really more important for a Shukla or Krishna moon, or even a Amavasya or a Chitra moon, that depending on which specific moon goddess or lunar day is at play, certain ones do much better when they're in Krishna or Shukla or Amavasya, which is the new moon, or Chitra, which is the full moon. So, for an example, if you have, let's see, Varuna lunar day, Varuna is essentially known as the lunar day. Varuna is essentially known as the deformed one, the hideous one, the one that is like protruding. She would do much better for having it be a Krishna moon because she's able to take in that element of water and reflect and carry and being able to really go in with herself to really rejuvenate herself. Because if she was a Krishna, if she was a Shoka instead, a Shoka Varuna moon Devi would be along the lines of they're taking their baggage and they're flaunting it outwards and they're trying to connect to other people with like, yeah, this is my trauma. This is what got me all messed up. Okay, all right, that's different. But you can kind of see like how that would go into play if it's a waxing or waning.
Yes. Just so that everybody kind of knows if you're doing spells or anything like that, the waning moon, it's a good time to release. It's a good time for ending. So, yeah, obviously, if you're releasing something, it's a good time for ending. So, yeah, obviously, if you're releasing something, it's a good time to release and end that energy that might be holding you back. Also, it's a good time for you to look introspectively into yourself spiritually and how you can grow. And it's a good time for banishing, hexing, and cursing. So yes, witches who like to do that. And again, this is a no judgment zone. So it's okay if you don't believe in doing curses and hexes and banishings. That's fine. If you believe in it, that's fine. I just want to make sure everybody kind of has like that idea. Like that's because, I mean, personally for me, and I'll let Bren add too, I love incorporating the moon when I'm doing my spell work because it is so powerful that I really feel like there's a boost. Like I've had people say, well, wouldn't you prefer to do a love spell on a Friday? I'm like, no, I would prefer to make sure that my moon cycle is perfect. Now, I will take the moon cycle with a Friday, but I do try to incorporate the moon as much as possible in any spell and ritual that I'm doing. Bren, your thoughts on incorporating the moon into your magic practice?
Well, I mean, the best way to even keep it simple, like even for like the really complex way of like how I got into like with the Vedic way of like how you have the moon in a specific phase, in a specific sign, in a specific nakshatra, in a specific pada, there is somehow, some way you can have that moon waxing, waning, in whichever specific point she's at. Somehow, some way you can find a way to make her work with what you're trying to have happen. There is a way. You really got to dig deep and think outside the box here. For an example, say if you have a waning Jeshta moon, that's a moon of Scorpio, and it's in the pada of, let's go with pada number 2. So now you're having a Jeshta moon that is waning, a Krishna Jeshta moon, and let's just say it's the 10th lunar day. So now all of that weaved together, you're now having a energy of the moon that is being, okay, I need to figure out a way to be no nonsense, make myself seem respectable, and work hard to keep my image up. Now I also got to think of ways to not be inhibited by anything because I want to be connected to everything and see what's going on. So, how am I going to be able to do this? So now the Jeshta individual now has to go within based on that placement. So going within, they can now connect into a more deeper awareness because Jeshta is also the occult. Going within, that's the Krishna part. And now connecting to others, now that's the Dashami, the 10th lunar day. Now she's starting to figure out, okay, how am I going to up my status? Well, maybe if I consider going and doing this. Maybe if I look presentable in this way. So now she's bringing that earth energy, which is Capricorn for J-Stub. Now it's being all weaved together to come up with that new way of expressing herself. So you can kind of see like how all that just weaved together to make a nice little tapestry.
Yes, that's so beautiful. So for those who joined late, this will be replayed on my Patreon and my YouTube channel, so you can catch up on this. And if you've missed any of the Spiral Dance book by Starhawk, you can catch up on those on Patreon and YouTube. And I do want to stress our next book. Yes, it is Bren's book, Nyx. It will only be for 2 weeks. So in 3 weeks will be when we start this, because we have 2 more chapters left in Spiral Dance. So next week we will be doing chapter 12, and it's the Will of the Year. So we'll be talking about the different Sabbats that we practice in the occult and paganism. So I'm excited about that one. That one will be a fun one to also jump into. And then we'll be jumping into Bryn's book 2 weeks after next week. So it's almost here already, Bryn. That was fast. So if you need Bryn's book, please make sure you're following him and then go to his bio and click his link tree. It is so super easy to get. Go ahead, Bryn.
Voila. Right there. Voila.
Yep.
Voila. Right there. Voila.
Yep. I'll just show a page because it's got the beautiful purple and the lettering. So it came out. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So yes, definitely pick up, because we will be talking about Nyx for 2 weeks. So it will be split into 2 parts. So, and then after that, we're going to do The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis. So if you have not, it's been a while since I've read it, but yes, if you have not read The Great Divorce, it's a definite pick up and read. C.S. Lewis is brilliant, and why not? Let's have a massive spiritual topic, right? So we will be live on Tuesday. We will be talking about the Strength card for Tuesday Tarot, and then followed by our discussion on the Strength card, which usually is about an hour long. We will then be doing 1-card pulls, and we'll do 1-card pulls for as long as people are asking questions long. We will then be doing 1-card pulls, and we'll do 1-card pulls for as long as people are asking questions. Or you can say general if you want a general reading. And then Thursday, we will be doing for spiritual panel, we'll be talking about Taurus. So very, very exciting. So we're going to wrap up tonight. So Bren, any last words, any last thoughts, anything else you want to share, and your goodbye.
Well, toodaloo, away we go down to the moon flow, go and flow. Oh no, oh well, looks like we're gonna have a low.
And I kind of danced. I was trying to do ebb and flow. So super fun. Thank you everybody so much for all the gifts tonight. Totally appreciated. Never expected. If you're posting on YouTube and Patreon, please feel free to put your questions and comments in the chat section, and make sure to give us thumbs up, especially on YouTube. Then we know you like the content, and we'll make sure to post all the time. As always, merry meet, merry part, bright blessings, and namaste.